already started the thread onto the hook. Everybody here knows how to do that. And the next step is, oh, and I started about an eye length back. The next step is going to be to put in your thread or wire, or not thread, excuse me, tinsel. So you start your tinsel and wrap it all the way to the back, almost to the bend of the hook, right to where it starts to go back. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go like 4 or 5 thread wraps up and down the body, covering this tinsel or wire up. And then I'm using a UTC, well, it's actually a Danville flat waxed 3/0 thread. So I'll get down here after doing 3 or 4 runs, and I'll spin this counterclockwise to kind of get the thread to lay out a little bit, lay a little bit flatter. And then we're just going to try to cover that body as smooth as possible. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect because the wing's going to be covering it, but you know, everybody likes a good looking fly. So I'll get it up here, and then I'll just drop my tinsel, do a quick little half hitch in the front, and you don't have to, you can just roll this around if you don't have a rotary vise. I like to counter wrap it, 1 wrap at the back, and then, whoops, this little light vise is moving around on me. Do about 5 to 7, 8 wraps, just as long as they're fairly even. Right up to where you started the thread. Then we're just going to reach over and under and tie this off. A couple of wraps over, a couple of wraps over that side, and then just trim it off close. Okay. Now generally when I do these at home, I'll coat this body, set it aside, and tie another one. And I'll do that for like 6 of them. And then I go to this step of putting the eyes and the wing on after, because this tinsel will tend to tear off a little bit. But you know, with time being not on our side doing this, we're gonna go ahead and put the eyes on. So I start, these are 5/32 bead chain eyes, just bath bead chain. And what we're going to do is just start these on the hook. I like to start it by just putting it on top. Whoops, there we go, this way. On top and around until you capture it. And I like to leave about a little bit of room up there so you have a head. And we don't want to overwrap these. These don't have to be real tight yet. We're going to glue them in place. So they'll be able to adjust, because I want to, when I get the wing material in, you'll see why. But now we're going to either take it out of your vise or invert your vise. Kind of square those eyes up a little bit. And then we're going to do some yellow marabou. So just strip you a piece of marabou off. And some of these have a little bit too fine of ends, I think, so I like to just kind of pinch them. I'm going to leave a mess here today, Dave. Sorry about that. And I like these a little bit longer than the hook, not much, and I'll kind of measure it up there and trim some of this excess off so you don't have so much sticking out. And one thing I found that helps me when I'm working with marabou is to have a little bit of water handy. It makes it, because marabou can be a little unruly. But just a little bit of water on there and it kind of tames it down. And we're just going to secure that onto the hook. Not going to worry too much about getting a bunch of wraps yet, because we're going to put a little orange over the top of that. And I got a little bit near the eye, so I'm just going to pull that back. And then we're going to use a little orange over the top of that fly. And this bug, it can be so fun when you're catching, when there's bluegill in the shallows. And that happens in the spring, pre-spawn and post-spawn. And all you have to do is drop it gently into a little area and start a nice slow strip. So again, I'm pinching the tips, measuring the wing, and then cut it. So I just have a little bit out in the front. Sorry about the shaking, it runs in the family. And then we're just going to wrap that.
You're wrapping the marabou, are you figure eighting it around the eye?
Yep, I'm figure eighting it and just building up some thread now. So you want to build up quite a few thread wraps, and this will secure those eyes pretty good, but we're going to glue it next. And in the past, I've always used just super glue, or even Sally Hansen hard as nails after using some glue to give it a little bulk. But Brent Hodge was kind enough to lend me his UV light, so we're going to UV this head, and then you're just going to whip finish. And I don't worry about doing too many more than 3 or 4 wraps, because it's going to get quite a bit of glue on there, and it's going to be holding clear back into the fly body. Not the body, but the head. Okay. Kind of move everything out of the way. And time to glue. This is the UV thick, and it works good for these because you can kind of move it around if you have to, and make sure your eyes are on good, and just got a little bit on the marabou. And I try to get a little bit all over the fly, all over the head, a little like kind of make it look a little bit less like a dumbbell by filling in that middle. And this stuff's this UV material is pretty good. You can work with it for a while before you hit it with the light.
Unless you're outside.
If you're outside, you got half a second.
What's that, Dave?
I said if you're outside, you get half a second.
Yeah, that's right. The sun does just like this little light here. And it only takes like, I think, 10 seconds a side, but I like to hit it on all 4 sides. You do have to make sure your eye's clear. I didn't clear this eye really good. But I'll generally keep a piece of hackle on the side. That tends to clean out the eye real good. Now this UV material, UV glue, ends up being a little tacky. Even after it dries, it'll pick up dust in little bits of stuff. And what you can do is just use a little like hand sanitizer cloth, go over it, and it will make it so it's not so tacky. And that's the SMP, Skip Morris Panfish.